part of the community.
Yeah.
Also, Gloria Dean, my aunt.
Yay.
There's one thing, I said here when I saw you earlier, and my uncle. No, for talking. I would like to, my uncle that has been passed away now, Uncle Raymond, Uncle Kenneth. There's one thing he told me when I was much younger. He used to call me Raccoon. Still don't know why, but he told me this. He said, "Hey," he said, "whatever you want to do," because we actually shared a CDL. We both drove big vehicles, and at that time he was like, "Seti," he said, "whatever you get into," he said, "make sure you learn everything that you can about it." Mm-hmm. And I guess it would hold true to what I'm doing with this aviation stuff, because why would you want to get on an aircraft, bro, and you cannot entrust the captain and the first officer or even the flight attendant to do their job? It is a rigorous program that commercial airline pilots have to go through. So all I can do right now is say, hey, be interested in that there is a safe process that these pilots and flight attendants are going through, to do their jobs. Sometimes it is mechanical issues with the planes, but we just have to trust God that everything is going the way it should be. Air travel is still the safest route of travel, believe it or not. Versus accidents that happen on the ground in the ordinary hills. So just a few more moments. I don't want to take too much time. I don't want to be a long-winded Baptist minister, right? But kind of a group activity. Who's flown commercially before? Commercial airline, commercial plane, just wherever. All right, just show of hands. It's kind of exercise, so you're going to exercise too, right? All right, who's going international, flown international, outside of the U.S.? All right. Where to?
London, Paris.
London, Paris, okay, nice.
Germany.
Germany, all right.
Russia and Egypt.
All right.
Same as you.
All right, do you remember what type of plane that you flew on? So remember, probably months ago, we heard about Boeing, right? Everyone knows about Boeing. Look like they've been cleaning up their act, so that's good. The other big one is Airbus. So you have the Boeing 737, 757, 777. Those are big aircraft, right? The Airbus. So can you remember what type of aircraft that you flew on? Just get on and go, right? Where's it going? Pay your money and go.
That's right.
Scan my ticket and keep
Okay, so good. That's a good term. She used the term. What's your name?
I'm Diane.
Miss Diane. So she used the term wide body. Wide body aircraft is typically what you're going to use to primarily go overseas. Now during COVID, they didn't do a whole lot of travel, so they kept most of the wide bodies here in the States. But yeah, the wide bodies are going to be your Boeing 767, 777s. So that's good. So that most likely you're on one of those. Yeah. And now they have the Boeing 787, which is one of the newer aircraft that's out there. How many of you, when you get on the airplane, come down the jet bridge, and typically it's a flight attendant that's there to greet you, hey, welcome aboard, where'd you seat? How many of you actually look to the left to see who's in the cockpit or the flight deck?
I do.
And you should. You should.
When I walk in,
And most times, most opportunities, you have the opportunity to actually go up and speak to them. Once the door is closed, once the flight begins, then don't do that. That's a bad idea. But yeah, when the plane is being loaded, you can say, hey, can I say hi to the crew? I've had actually some people that they'll actually come up and pray with me. So
Wonderful.
say, hey, that's different,
That's
but very welcome. So yeah, that hopefully moving forward, your experiences flying aircraft is a positive one. And let's see, any other questions for me? Any questions?
Excuse me, you say you graduated Baker High School?
Yes, ma'am, Baker High School, right across the street. Now, I'm happy to see that they're
Class, could you?
95.
95.
1995.
I had a son, graduated class of 98.
Okay. So
She
not
graduated, she was the first class, my sister, 72, that integrated Baker High.
Oh, yay!
That's black history.
That's history, yeah.
I'm happy to see that, like, I think they've moved back into the high school now, so that's good to see. You know, education is important. And sometimes you may hear, oh, you don't need a whole lot of education to become a pilot. Or you don't like all the core subjects, but I can tell you that all of those core subjects is definitely embedded in what we do. We have to be able to calculate sometimes, calculate things, real rapid fire, real quick. You know, we don't have time to get on the iPad and the science, how the plane flies. You know, have you ever wondered or imagined how a big piece of metal can leave
Get off the ground.
and then fly to your destination and safely, the way we want it, safely land, right? So it's definitely the science behind it, right? We have to be able to communicate, so that kind of goes without saying, right? What's some of the other STEM things? We have the science, the technology, well, the aircraft itself, right? Engineers are continue to, you know, invent and create some of the nicest aircraft that can fly in the air, right? Of course, that kind of goes with the engineering and the mathematics. So yeah, it's definitely, everything is definitely in aviation and what we do. Well,
got a question.
Yes.
How do you feel before you fly? Before your flight?
If I had to put it in a few words, confident.
Good. All right, good. Wonderful. Yay! Wonderful.
Have you flown with any major airline? I mean, pilot any major airline companies?
So the company that I fly for, we fly for United Airlines. So if you notice, it says Commute Air. The DVA is doing business as United Express. So we actually fly some of the smaller routes for United. And I've been flying now 8 years now. So I started this journey so I started my flying journey back in high school, back in 1993. And then just at that time, I had no aspiration of becoming an airline pilot. I just loved the idea of flying. And then over the years, I continued to fly, build my hours. Of course, you know, the companies, they want you to have experience in hours. So that's how you gain the experience, is continuing to fly and document the hours. And then once I got to a point where it's like, I can try to see if I get hired on, and sure enough, I did. So
Good.
So it's been a very awesome experience. Yeah, sometimes you have those bad days, not so good days, to makes you think, you know, man, what am I really doing? But again, just being confident in knowing what, you know, and being encouraged of what I do. So
Good.
I have another question.
yes,
How many hours they allow y'all to stay in the air to fly?
that's a good question. So unlike working a normal job where you can pick up a lot of overtime, we can't do that. We are federally regulated that we can work so many hours in a day. Typically it's 8 to 10, depending on the situation. And then it equates about 5 days during the week. And then we have to take so many days off. So again, be encouraged that, you know, there are situations or checks and balances in place for that. Good question.
How do you feel about the people in the towers that's telling you air traffic controllers?
I'm very confident about them. I know there's been some news, you know, about them. One of my first jobs in the military was air traffic control. So I was actually an air traffic controller in the military as well. So I can relate to, you know, some of the things that they have to go through. But even as an aviator, you know, we have to always trust but verify. So if we're getting some instructions from the tower and that doesn't sound quite right, then we can come back and ask as well. So yeah.
I have a question. I have a 16-year-old grandson, and he wanna be a pilot and he wanna join the Marines.
Oh, wow,
Many
nice.
different
Air Force.
things,
That's nice.
So I would say 16. So he's getting close to graduating high school. You know, if the military is still, I guess, a primary option for him, I would say seek that first, like get that process rolling. Because you know, becoming a pilot that can happen outside of the military or even in the military.
And right now he's going to Helix.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, good. That's good.
But the branch he would choose most likely would be Air Force, since he want to be a pilot.
Yeah, then Marines. I don't know the difference.
He can do both.
Yeah, well, all of them have
Y'all don't
great,
do it.
all of them have great pilot programs.
Okay.
So, you know, if the Marines is the route that he wanted to go,
Wanna take?
you know, again, go ahead and get in first.
Okay.
And then they have pathways to become, you know, to become a pilot.
That's good.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Grimes, will you see that sometime in the near future that with technology, you'll be almost obsolete? I'm just saying.
It's been some talk and maybe small concerns about that. You know, for one instance, because of the science, maybe having a plane that has like an AI that's assisting, but still having an actual pilot in there to be able to override. Because as great as our computer systems are, sometimes they can glitch. So yes, we see that in the future. Take the train, right?
That's right.
No. All right, that's a good question. So I had someone, and they knew I was a pilot, but they were trying to tell me how the turbulence ran. So I said, okay, well, why don't you go ahead and tell me then? I said, oh man, yeah, I was flying a plane, flying out west, and the pilot, he couldn't find a good altitude, and this and that. And then he just stayed in turbulence. I said, okay. I said, well, you know, turbulence is basically at any altitude. If you go outside and the wind is blowing, typically that's turbulence, right? Because it's a disruption in the airflow. So after I made, you know, said my piece back and, you know, tried to get him to understand, like, hey, it doesn't matter. Sometimes I've been in situations where almost an hour straight it's just been turbulence. So the things that we have to do is maybe just slow down the aircraft. Because we don't want to go past turbulence because injuries can happen. And then eventually we get out of it. So.
Is it a good policy to watch the stewardess, I hate that called stewardess.
Flight attendant?
Flight attendants, they faces, if they sitting up there and they start looking at their eyes at me.
Right.
Is it time for my eyes and all
If I wasn't in aviation, yes, I would definitely look at their faces. If they're concerned, I'm gonna be concerned. So, you know.
Yeah, that's what that means.
I got another question. One more question. What's the best seat to sit in when you're flying? That's a good question. Middle or back?
Well, I simply like window seats myself. So even as an aviator,
What's the safety?
it's really no safe. But you know, it's your preference.
Okay.
You know, sometimes I'll go if I'm on a plane and I have the option of not sitting near the engine because the ride is just a little bit quieter. I'll tend to do that. But typically I'll sit near an emergency exit.
That's me.
I
have a problem when I book my
traveling
plane.
back home after one of my trips, and of course I was in uniform and you know when you set the emergency exit room, you know they have to brief you on it. So,
Yeah,
you
that-
know, are you
right.
willing and able?
Right, because I was told I wanted to exit. I wasn't enough weight or pounds or something they were saying. They certain people on that exit.
Well, so two different things there. So weight and balance. So for the aircraft to take off and land, the aircraft has to not be overweight, but it has to also be within balance. So a very quick example of that, you know the seesaws, I think they have one right out here, right? You have a seesaw, right? It has to be in balance. If you have something heavy on one side and light on the other side, then the seesaw is not in balance. It's the same concept for the aircraft. You wanna make sure that the aircraft is within weight and balance.
Mm-hmm.
If not, things bad start to happen.
Okay.
So that's the weight and balance. That's why they move passengers back and forth.
Okay.
But the exit road by itself, maybe that was just one available seat. But anytime you set an emergency exit, you have to be a willing and able-bodied person. If not, by federal law, you cannot sit there.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously if something happens, like I tell people, I say, hey, if you see me getting out the door, you may wanna. That's probably a bad thing. So, but that's all I have. I really appreciate the opportunity to be able to come here and speak. You know, I don't take opportunities like this lightly. Like I spoke about my kids, I love my kids, and I try to be a good role model for them.
Amen.
And matter of fact, I texted my daughter this morning, say, hey, I have to go speak at a Black History. She's like, where? And I know when I came out, I said, let me make sure she was trying to make her way down here, but she's in high school, 9th grade now. And of course, they're going through Black History stuff. So I pray that with our new administration, that the things about Black history remains in history.
Amen. Amen.
Because I posed a question to myself. I said, if we take all of the things that Black history was all about, mentors and things that truly were invented by blacks, if we literally just took all of that away, where would the world be?
Right.
So I would like to end on that note, because we do matter. Black history does matter.
Oh, yes, it does. It's very important.
And the one big thing is the Tuskegee Airmen. Tuskegee Airmen, of course, who knows about Tuskegee Airmen? Hopefully everyone does. At least have heard of them, right? Well, basically without them, I wouldn't be here in this uniform, right?
Amen.
They truly were the pathfinders that allowed, Black aviators to be where we are today. We just made a trip to Moulton Field, M-O-T-O-N, Moulton Field, back in November. And it was very simple. We flew there, landed there, ate food, fellowship, and then we took off and came right back home. And basically it was just, hey, you're paying homage to those that have allowed us to be where we are today as far as aviation is concerned. So a lot of rich heritage there. They do have a museum there. If you're ever passing through, and you want to stop in Tuskegee, it's not a whole lot going on there, which is a shame. But like with most other Black history, that's unfortunately how it is, right? So it's up to us to keep things like that, going. Because without the history, a lot would be lost. With that, any other questions? Well, thank you so much.